3 more minutes. So this is a book of the English translation. Honestly, I'm very impressed with the quality of the translation because Swami trained in a Sanskrit and also went through the classes very much. Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses. It's around 396. It's condensed a little bit, but all the important verses, he has the translations. So I'll follow that pretty much. It's for the next generation. They will like it. They understand what exactly it is. And following the same meter, where it is Anushtup, it is Anushtup. Where it is Trushtup, it is Trishtup. Hello, Mahesh. Come in. This is by Swami Tadadmananda. So this is a nice book. I think you can get that from Amazon. The chanting is published in YouTube. Swami himself published a video only yesterday, so you can listen to that. I'll post that video in our group later today. And incidentally, today is Gita Jayanti.
Yes.
So really happy to start chapter 2, which is the summary of the entire Gita on that day.
Do we have a stool?
What is it?
I got one battery for that. I hate that song.
Yeah, no, I think you can. I mean, you can use a chair.
Isn't it from Paula?
I can. It's not there. I think that I just removed it. I also hate that. I forgot to bring it. But it's a different place. You're getting sound. Let's listen to where it is. It just happened now. No. It's new.
This was
the one? Okay, then.
I think this was.
Okay, then please
the
try.
sound was.
Yeah. Please try. Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Let me just see the book.
Yeah, please. Yeah. I'll keep all my books this week. So all the Gita, any Gita you want to see, it should be here. Any comments? We have 1 more minute.
Usually on Gita Jayanti, and my wife is part of this Swadhyay, and they recite all the 700 verses.
Almost 3 hours. So next Saturday, there is a group here. It is organized by the Datta Post. Datta Traya group, Yoga Sangita. They train all the kids in Gita chanting. So if any of you are interested to send your kids in Gita chanting, you can do that. Tarunya, the girl who chanted for our verses, she was trained by them. Amazing, like 70 kids will be sitting in Durga Mandir next Saturday between 3 to 7. They will be reciting the entire Bhagavad Gita by heart. And also you can ask them, like, 2nd chapter, verse 47, they will tell. And if you ask them to chant reverse order, they will do that. Like, that much thorough they are. Diction is perfect. So that's on next Saturday. I'll post that flyer in our.
There's actually a competition also happening in Marathi show.
Because so many competitions are there.
One of the people from there, they had called me and asked if I knew anybody from my temple to send people for that.
That's good. Actually, Sringeri, the ashram has a competition that is the largest one. Tarunya won the 2nd prize. She's really good.
So Sringeri in the
Stroudsburg, yeah. Okay, so in a minute we'll get started. So Thursday we have a class, so we will check all the. I think it's time to remove batteries in almost everywhere. So do that. Okay, so we'll get started. So we'll start with a prayer. Please close your eyes and listen to this prayer.
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Welcome back and happy Gita Jayanti. So apparently today is the day Bhagavad Gita was born in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. This is also known as Vaikunta Ekadashi. And as you mentioned, the tradition is people used to chant the entire Gita. So next year we will do that. But I don't think we have enough people who can chant Gita here this year. But next year we will train a few kids or those who are interested in learn chanting. We will learn and we will make sure that, because this is where we conduct the Gita study. So it's a tradition, we should chant. But I'm so happy that it so happened that we are starting chapter 2 today. We covered chapter 1 last week, 2 weeks back, because last week we were off. So second chapter, because if you really looked at the style we went through the chapter 1, we were a little bit going in a little bit high pace, because chapter 1 is nothing but the context. But without understanding the context, you won't understand the solution. And also what we tried deliberately in the first 9 sessions, we took 9 sessions to cover chapter 1. 9 sessions, what we tried to do was changing the context from Kurukshetra battlefield to our own life. If you really look at that, that is what I tried my best. The reason I said was, if it is a Kurukshetra solution, we are far away removed in terms of time and in terms of the situation from Kurukshetra. So if this cannot be applied here and now for my problems with my teens, or my problem with my boss, or my problem with my spouse, or my problem with my political or social environment, it doesn't have any value. So how to, means don't get attached to the context, go beyond the context and try to apply that solution which is common to almost all the context. So we try to define what exactly is that common problem and what is the solution for that. So that was the whole theme of the first chapter. The chapter name was Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Typically the Vishada cannot be a yoga. Here, an emotional overwhelming is transformed or presented as an opportunity to learn. So that's why it is. So now with that we are going to see the second chapter. The second chapter of the Gita is, in fact, in this, I want to highlight 3 points here. It is one of the largest chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Second chapter has 72 verses. 18th chapter is the largest. I believe it has 78. But 72 verses out of 700 means almost 10% of the Gita is second chapter. And one point you just need to realize. Gita was written when? Thousands of years back. We discussed when, we don't know, but we know that it is sometimes in the past. When Gita was written, printed books were not there. Imagine a situation where people, means the printed books were not there, only some manuscripts were there. Who knows? Initially the script may not be there. So at that time we said like they've used to follow some conventions. Is it like the first word of the first chapter plus the last word of the last chapter would form the theme of the book. The first word of the first chapter is dharma, and the last word of the last chapter is mama. So it is mama dharma, my dharma. And what is dharma? We had a long, lengthy discussion which we are going to continue later. It is not religion, it is not a mere code of conduct. It is much more than that. We saw that. So then, typically, the style of the scriptures is one chapter they will dedicate. Means if you take a printed book, what do you see on the beginning?
Index.
There will be an index. What is the job of the index?
To tell us.
Tell what exactly is the content, right? Table of contents. And at the end, you will have a
Index. Glossary.
glossary and maybe a summary, whatever it is, right? That is the style of the modern printed book. At that time, there is no printed book. So how do you give the index and summary? One chapter for the index and another chapter for the summary. So the second chapter of the Gita is the index, which touches almost all the topic. It tells you that these are the topics covered under the Gita. So the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita is given in the second chapter. That's the beauty. So I would say if you decide to study only one chapter, which chapter you pick?
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. That's why they say, like, it touches almost all the key topics. And as I said, like, this is the one chapter you should study. If you want to learn, please don't restrict with one chapter. So if you look at the Gita, the structure of the Gita, the first chapter is the problem statement. What exactly is the problem you are trying to solve? We saw that extreme obsession. Obsession led to what? Attachment, right? And means that created worries and anxiety, and it creates delusion. This was the problem we discussed. And what exactly is the solution?
Remove the attachment.
Yeah, so we are going to see that, right? So that solution is given from chapter 3 to chapter 17. So chapter 2 is going to see what are all the solutions you are talking. What is the problem statement, and what are the solutions described in the Gita? An index is given in the second chapter. And then from chapter 3 to chapter 17, each of those topics were taken and drilled down. Naturally, right? For example, the second chapter talks about Karma Yoga. The third chapter, fourth chapter, fifth chapter is an elaboration, deep dive into the Karma Yoga. So from chapter 2 to chapter 17, it is an elaboration. And finally, on chapter 18, he is going to recap everything. Very recently, I was attending a program called Executive Presence. Have you heard of that? It's a very popular, common program. How do you present in front of executives like CEO, CTO, etc.? The key things, 3 things they identified is, initially, make sure that you are communicating what you are communicating. Elaborate that. At the end, recap. That's the same style. Okay, so that's I don't want to give a lot of introduction. Let's go to the chapter itself. Okay, so chapter 1, we used to cover 6 to 7 verses in one stretch, and also we covered almost 47 verses in 6 classes. One chapter was introduction, one class was recap. But here, I won't be doing no more than 4 verses per day. We are going to touch it from all the different angles. We will make sure that you're understanding it. That's just give the attention, you will get it. Pretty much, if you can just pick at least some handwritten notes on key things, because it will help you to go this concept deep dive into your mind. Why you're studying this? It's for our own benefit. Those who knows me, I never write handwritten notes for anything. Magesh knows that. I don't use it, but for this one, I used to write everything. This is my handwritten book. One verse has at least 30-40 page write-ups. Every commentary of Shankaracharya words, it is being analyzed and written. I'm just telling you that the benefit of using your own handwritten notes, it will drive things home deep into your memory. So having said that, like when we did this in Edison, we took almost 44 classes to complete this. But now I have the material clearly defined, so I know exactly how much we need to cover. So 21 sessions, we will cover the second chapter because more structured. That's the difference. Any questions, please post in the group, or we'll have discussion. So let's try to study this chapter very thoroughly, because don't as I said, like, you don't have to have any false appreciation for Gita. Just believe what you see. That's it. Just leave all the preconceived ideas out of your mind. And I clearly said this is not to generate a little bit spiritual stimulus. This is not to say that Gita is great. This is you're learning it for yourself, because that is why this is different from a typical philosophy class. Philosophy means it is filio sophia, meaning it is love for knowledge. So if you learned it, you will feel happy. But here, that's not the goal. The goal is different. Right? You're learning Gita to tune ourselves. So second chapter is very important. So having said that, today our scope is only 3 verses. So let's listen to these 3 verses. So the way I will do is I will go through the Sanskrit chanting. You all, if you want to chant together, we can do that. That means it's up to you. Otherwise, we can dedicate 15 minutes early or after to learn chanting. I'm open to that. I will use the English chanting also, because those who are not fluent in Sanskrit, that will help. And I saw that there is a pure poetic Tamil translation, if you want, that you can use. There is one in Malayalam, Kannada, everywhere it is there. So we just need to use appropriate. Malayalam, it is written by Kodungalur Kunyikudan Tampuran. It is very, very powerful. And this person, he had translated the entire Mahabharata into Malayalam in 800 days, is the record. 100,000 verses in 800 days. So on the average, he was doing more than 120 verses every day. And it means high quality poetry. Okay, so let's start. So let's listen. Means I put the chanting also into the OneDrive, so you can download, and it is good to have a printout of that so that you can listen. So let's listen. Chapter 2, verse 1. So it is where did we left Arjuna? On chapter 1. He threw away all his weapons. Yes. He fall flat. Yeah. Right? Na yotsya iti govindam. Right? It means he said like, I cannot fight.
He's in a collapsed state.
Collapsed state. A depressed, collapsed state. We analyzed that after the chapter 1 class. So now what happened? I said like drama was not developed, but the way Vyasa develops it is purely dramatical. So the attention moved to Sanjaya, because Arjuna cannot speak now. So far Arjuna was speaking. The attention moved, means just like any modern director does, Vyasa does that. So Sanjaya giving an enumeration or just a sum up of what happened there. So let's listen.
Sanjaya uvacha tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashrupunakulekshanam vishidantamidam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha.
Okay. So Sanjaya uvacha tam tatha kripaya avishtaha Ashrupurna Akula Ikshana. It's a huge compound word. What is the speciality of, forget Sanskrit, all the Indian language? Samphi, meaning you connect multiple words into a compound word. So Ashrupurna Akula Ikshana. It's a compound word. So the trick is, whenever there is a compound word, if you want to understand the meaning, read that from right to left. Ikshana. Akula, Ashrupurna. So then you get it. So I'm going to explain that. But tam tatha kripaya vishtam Ashrupurna Akula Ikshanam Vishidandam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudana. So this was the verse. So let's understand that. Let's go to the English chanting. So Swamiji, so the chanting you heard is from Swami the Satya Vratananda. It is already there in OneDrive. You can download and learn to chant. She's from Chennai. She's her chanting is known. And another chanting source, I just wanted to thank her for this wonderful chanting. Another chanting you can refer is Swami Brahmananda of Chinmaya Ashram. Is phenomenal. That's what we use in Chinmaya Ashram. So let's see the English one.
Lord Krishna did thus address Arjuna, sunk in deep despair, with eyes downcast and full of tears, overcome by a tenderness.
Look at the meter. Exact same meter. Excellent translation. So let's try to understand. So we'll understand the word meaning and we will understand the larger meaning. But before that, what exactly is the theme of this verse? This theme of this verse is the state of a mind when you face a challenging situation. What is the challenge? It's a variable from person to person, time to time. For a kid, it's a homework. For me, it's a job related stuff. For another person, it's a health issue. But the reaction that problem creates in my mind is almost the same. So you might think why being removed from a chat group can be compared with the passing away of a person. But the reaction that creates in your mind means the mind of a kid and you might be the same. You cannot blame that. So when the mind faces the problems, it gets into a problem, meaning it gets into a depressed state. To that mind, a support is being offered here. So let's see. So tam tatha kripaya avishtaha. The first sentence here is Sanjaya vacha. What does that mean? Sanjaya said, right? So Sanjaya said. So that's the first sentence. I'm going to just, instead of going word by word, because I got a feedback from video, you're going too low level. So I'm going to take it a little bit high level and break, instead of not going to some these that much detail. We can talk offline about that, but we can talk. But it's good. People are watching it and giving comments. So the second one is tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashrupurna akula ikshanam vishidandam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudana. So the first part is tam means uvacha madhusudana to Arjuna. So Krishna spoke these words to Arjuna. So that is the first point. To that Arjuna, okay, that Arjuna has a few description, which is the second part. To that Arjuna, Krishna spoke the following words. Madhusudana, we saw who is Madhusudana in chapter 1.
Okay.
Madhu means what?
What is that?
Madhu means honey,
Honey.
right? It represents the attachment, the passion, all those things. Sudana means the destroyer of that. So the one who destroys all the attachment, all the obsession, all the passion, that is Madhusudana. Puranic literature means the one who killed the demon, Madhu. Madhu and the Kaidava. So the one who destroyed. And we saw who is a demon, right? And how Lord kills demons? By using Sudarshana. What is Sudarshana? Good vision. So it's not a physical, literal killing. So that's, we have talked. Sudarshana. Sudarshana means vision. By giving them good vision. So in every literature, right, after the Lord kills somebody, what happens? A new person pop up and he praises the Lord. So I gave a lot of example. Swami Shivananda killed Balakrishna Menon, and from there Swami Chinmayananda arised. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa literally killed Narendranath, and from there Vivekananda came up. So that's the type of killing we are talking. So it should not be taken as like I told you, a child was asking how many people got killed today in a Balukar class. A child was asking, going to kill today. So you have to be very careful what we are communicating, especially to the next generation. They are so intelligent. You cannot get away from them. So, but we don't know. That's a problem. So, Krishna, who is capable of removing all these human problems with the human mind. So that's, look at the context sensitivity of Vyasa. Every word he uses has its own context. So Krishna spoke these words to Arjuna. Now, what exactly is the characteristics of Arjuna? Kripaya avishtaha, Ashrupurna akula ikshana, and Vishidanda. These are the three qualifications or descriptions of that Arjuna. It's not an Arjuna. It's not an Arjuna who is laughing and in a relaxed mode. No, he spoke to Arjuna who is affected with these three visheshas or description. So what are they? Like kripaya avishtaha. What is kripa? Kripa is typically pity. It's a good quality, right? But what about the problem is what it is? Means last chapter also I said it's not that Arjuna is wrong in his argument, but his mental state. Even if the pity or a good emotion comes from a weak mind, what is Arjuna's state? Depressed. Whatever comes out of a depressed mind, it's not good. So here what happened? The overwhelming of an emotion. See, remember we talked about emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Brilliant definition by Daniel Goleman is what? Appropriate emotions proportional to circumstances. Underline this and remember this. Appropriate emotions proportional to circumstances. Here the emotions are out of proportion. And when the emotion becomes a little bit out of proportion, that emotion, even if the best emotions comes out of the mind, won't have any value. See, look at that. He's lying down. He said, I cannot face life. I want to run away from life. What value such a person has? You can be emotional, but you should have, means anything comes, means Mahatma Gandhi said, right? What? The ahimsa paramo dharma, that is what Gandhiji believed. But non-violence is not an inert, essential slave mentality. That is what the definition of Gandhiji. There was an incident, I talked about this multiple times. In Uttar Pradesh, the Britishers went and raped all the girls in a village. And the men of that village, what did they do?
Ahimsa, right?
Yeah, ahimsa. We are Gandhiji's students. So what did Gandhiji say?
Very bad.
I'm ashamed of you guys, right? You should have used your teeth to fight these guys. Ahimsa is not weakness. He used the example like a ant saying that, oh elephant, I'm forgiving you. What value does it have? So that's how it should be. So here what happened? Emotional means when you are overwhelmed with emotion, you cannot think properly, you cannot see properly, you cannot act properly. So Arjuna is in that state. That is why emotional overwhelming. Then what is the second thing? Ashru Purna Akula Ikshana. Ashru Purna Akula Ikshana. One compound word is means multiple divided into Ashru. Ashru means what?
Tears.
Tears. Purna means what?
Full.
Complete, full.
Full of tears.
Akula means stressed, anxious. Ikshana means eyes. His eyes were full of tears. And it was anxious, stressed. You can see. Then what is the third one? So physically he was down. Like verbally we know that he was already flat, and mentally wishing his mind was full of sorrow. To that Arjuna, Lord Krishna spoke these words. Makes sense, right? But don't think that it is Arjuna. Can you imagine? You put your situation. There were situations in life we all had to go through. Imagine Krishna is talking to us. If not, tomorrow we will have to go through. I said, imagine you're so successful in your professional, personal life. Sometimes you have to depart this world. So you have to face the situation sometime or the other in your life. So better be prepared right now. I told you the story of Rockefeller and Swami Vivekananda encounter. Vivekananda was brilliantly conquering almost wherever he goes, people used to become fans of him. So Rockefeller heard this. Like he thought, oh my God, how this young man is attracting all these people. So he wanted to see Vivekananda. So he went there and he said, like, Yeah, people are coming to you because a lot of people have a lot of problem. At this point of time, I have nothing to worry for my life because I have millions of dollars. My business is successful. I don't need anything from you to live. Swamiji's response was instantaneous. He said, sir, you may not need anything to live, but I can help you to die peacefully. It attracted him a lot. So that conversation was recorded.
Sanjay Uvacha Tam
Okay. So the point is, problems are part and parcel of every life. It could be a tsunami. It could be a World Trade Center. I still remember that day. Most of you cannot forget that day.
Yeah.
One thing that bothers me even now is I used to work in Metachan at that point of time. Like, after 2-3 days, I could see still cars lying in that Metachan train station parking lot. It was such a painful thing, right? People went to work on the morning, they didn't come back. So these things can happen.
I was right there when the next plane went in.
Oh my God.
I used to work in downtown, so I was right there when it happened.
Oh, yeah. So you will not forget that. There is a book called Emote. It's a good book. So they say when something is written in your mind with a lot of emotions, that will not forget. You will not forget that. So what is the way to remember? Emote. Put some. The whole book strategy is that how to remember things properly. This is a management book called Emote. Interestingly, an Indian guy wrote this. And the first example he cites is the World Trade Center. Okay. So means it could be means work pressure, it could be family problems, anything like, or it could be medical problems. So these problems are part and parcels of life. You cannot avoid. If somebody thinks that there will be a tomorrow, now I have financial problem. Tomorrow I might solve it. That time what is going to go? Health. Or the children will be creating problem. So this is, they say, right, for the, as students we hear the joke. We have now, time is there, health is there, but no money to do anything. As a professional, you have money, you have health, but no time. As a retired person, I have the whole time in the world. I have enough money in my bank account. What is the problem?
No,
Health. It's like a triangle. Once, when one gets corrected, Shankaracharya gives a brilliant example. It's like training like 12 cats in a row. Like by the time you come arrange the last cat,
that's the first one.
the first will go. So that's what it is. So don't think that tomorrow there will be a problem-free life. And don't, means I always joke this, right? Don't think that by going to heaven, you will get a problem-free life. Swami Dayananda used to joke, you will have heavenly problems waiting. So problems are parts and parts. And what exactly is the option? These are the three options. This is not given by Gita. Gita is giving exact same problem. In the management world, if you study any major book, this is the solution. If it can be handled, you go and handle it. Face the problem as best as you can. Second thing is what? Retreat if that is a difficult. So if a company find that this business is not feasible, what do? They divest it. It's not that you have to prove yourself on that particular, if there market is not bad. So like that, there are problems in life, you may have to retreat. You may have to retreat from that. And if there is no solution, sometimes what happened? A loved one passing away. No solution except that. And this is brilliantly captured in a prayer called Serenity Prayer. That's what it is. Like you have to have the courage to face what you can change. And you have to have the serenity to accept what you cannot change. And you have to have the wisdom to know what can be changed and what cannot be changed. Typically what we do, try to change everything where I don't have any control. And don't do anything. I don't do anything. I try to change a merger and acquisition happening in my company. I do, and even I saw one fellow going and doing an archana in the Bridgewater temple, hoping that a potential merger will be postponed. And he won't do anything to update his skills and edit his resume. Right? And then finally, who will hear the blame? God. Imagine yourself in the place of God. Imagine your Balaji sitting in that Bridgewater temple. Like all the complaints, right? You didn't do this, you didn't do that. That would be the whole scenario. I don't know how he's sitting there. And sometimes it is contradictory also. Like I always think about this particular joking scenario. Imagine like one guy, he is a farmer. So he would be going and doing an archana. Oh Lord, give me huge rain. The other guy is waiting for his daughter's marriage. He will come to the same Balaji. Oh Lord, no rain. What is going on? So we, 7th chapter answer all these things, by the way, okay? So what is Ishwara Kripa? Why God is so selective? And if it is Kumar, he will think that left and right, everything God aims comes to my left and right. I don't get anything. Why me? That question is answered in 7th chapter very well. So we'll wait for that. But these are the solutions. But the problem is what? Am I executing it? No. What happens when a problem happens? First of all, my mental balance is gone. I'm not able to face the problem properly. So when I'm not in control, see, you can drive a car when you have control over the wheels. But the moment you lose control over the wheels, naturally accident is what? Inevitable. So the problem is the moment, even if when you see the signs of a problem, I lose my control. And when I lose my control, what is going to happen? I cannot face the situation. So that's the problem. So to that, Arjuna, Krishna is going to talk. Okay. So we are not able to face the problem effectively. This is all of our autobiography. Second one is we don't retreat from the problem at appropriate time. I can tell my example. There were situations I had to run back, but I never did that, and it costed me a lot. Then we don't accept the situations and hard facts. So I said, like, I cannot accept the merger of a company to one place. So I go and pray, even do all the homa and rituals, everything. But where I have control, I can easily educate myself and find a job. I don't do that. So we approach the problem wrongly. We don't understand the problem effectively, right? We don't handle it efficiently. This is the problem. This is the fundamental problem. Whether it is Arjuna's problem 5,000 years back, or whether it is Rajesh's problem in 2019. It is the same thing. And look at the teens, your teens and the kids. So in our yoga class, this is exactly the problems we are hearing from all the kids. Exact same problem. You can translate this into this because it's a common problem right from the president of America to the most poorest of the poor in Africa. This is the same problem. So this is the problem Krishna is addressing. So now this may result in emotional overwhelming, stress, tears, and depression, that is what is happened to Arjuna. So now let's try to understand the science a little bit. So the problem is, whenever we face a situation, our body is trying to prepare us for that situation. All of you know that, right? That's a biochemical reaction happening in our system. So this will be, when you see a threat, where it is a fire or whether it is an accident, imagine that somebody is cutting across the street and coming in front of you. Without you knowing, you will push the pedal, right? You need that. So there is a psychometric reaction happening in your system. And this response pattern is known as stress. So now the question is it good or bad? Of course it is needed, otherwise you won't survive. So if anybody says that stress is bad, that is not correct. So what is the problem here? I'm going to show you a couple of charts. Okay, so stress is a reaction this definition is very important. This is not Gita, this is science. Stress is a reaction to a demanding situation in the human's physiology. What happens? When you see a demanding situation, your hypothalamus informs, means two hormones. What is that? Anybody knows? Adrenaline and cortisol. It will come, means its level will increase in the blood. What is going to happen? It will prepare you for a fight or a flight or a freeze. So what happens? The blood pressure will raise. The sugar level will rise. Because, and that is good side. The other side is what? All these immune process, healing process, everything will be shut down. Your digestion. Are you trying to face a tiger or are you trying to digest your food? Sleep. So now imagine. Now you want to see this. This is very interesting. This is the life cycle of a stress. Stage 1, a stimuli will happen. One of the sense organs will capture and send to your brain. The brain determines whether it is a threat or a non-threat. And the body is, means it's prepared if it is a threat. And finally, body will return to its homeostasis, which is the stable situation. Only that threat is removed. Now, there is a manufacturing defect. What is that manufacturing defect?
Does not come.
Perceives everything as.
Yeah, whatever you perceive as threat, whether it is a real threat or not, the body will elevate you. And the number of times you see a stress in a day, almost anything and everything, you perceive that as a threat. In the modern world, the possibility of a physical compact is very minimal. But a small issue, like a boss shouting at you, or a mortgage to be paid, also can raise similar situation. And as a result, what is going to happen? I stay always in the stress mode. And when I stay in that stress mode, that is, stress is known as, there's a medical term they call status stress. Most of the professionals in America is in that status stress. That's why AMA released a word. What is that? Stress is the #1 killer in 21st century. This is the reason. So this is the, see, when you see a situation, what happens? Your stress hormone increases. And when the stress hormone increases, what is going to happen? Your efficiency increases. You can see that graph going up to a stage. But after that, that break-even stage is the place where you get maximum performance. And that stage is known as, there is another technical term, flow. Flow. That stage where the stress hormones increase up to a certain point of time, every increase in the stress hormone is going to increase the performance proportionately. And once it reaches to a stage where the maximum performance is given, any little bit of increase in the stress hormone will reduce the performance. So that maximum performance is known as flow. I referred a book called Flow, right? Michael. Forgot that, how to pronounce his name. It's Flow. It's a wonderful book. Secret of Success or something like that. No, Secret of Optimal Performance. That is the book name. Wonderful book. So after that, it is going to go down. And if it goes to a beyond a stage, certain stage, what is going to happen? Breakdown. Emotional breakdown. Can you relate that with Arjuna right now? What happened to Arjuna now? Said emotional breakdown. So the stress is bad only when the level of stress is too high. If the stress stays a continuous period of time, and unwanted stress arousal. These are the problems. Otherwise, stress is good. Most of the people think that stress is completely bad at all. And they think that, oh God, let the stress be removed from my life. If the stress is removed from his life, that fellow is gone. And even like you can see, like if there is no exam, right? There is something called a student syndrome in management. They call it as student syndrome. Your child needs 1 hour of study. You give him 8 hours. When will we study?
7,000.
Now forget about child. What about adults?
Same thing.
You have a developer. one day of work, you give him 5 days.
Yeah.
4th day he will start. Classic example in management world is April 14, you will see a huge line in the post office. Olden days, now it's electronic filing. But 15 years back, I used to see a long line. So you have the W2 from January 1st onwards. What were you doing till then? And this is called student syndrome in management. Last minute only you work. So without that stress or deadline, nobody will work. But if that is too much, it breaks down. Okay, so this is a typical day of an individual. When you get up in the morning, hopefully he will not be stressed. And imagine preparation to go to work. Look at the 3 stage: relaxed state, normal state means at that time the stress is healthy, and distress or panic attack is when after the flow. So this is my imagination. Okay, so when you get up, okay, you had a good sleep, but sending children towards school and you want to go to work and all these 287s and the turnpikes, it will elevate your stress. And when you go to work, your colleagues and boss and situations, some situations will be manufactured for me. Oh God, I don't know like how it happens. And it will put me into that distressed mode. So look at this imaginary individual's day. You cannot stay more than 3 minutes in a stress situation because otherwise it is unhealthy. But if you look at this fellow's situation, what would be his side effect? High BP, no sleep, high cholesterol means with the sugar, and no immunity. All these things will be. That's what happens. So just wanted to let you know that this is the science because you need to understand this problem. So this is a very famous diagram. So initially, what happens as the stress go up, you feel once the flow level is means you feel exhausted, you feel down, and you feel completely broken down. This is a diagram copied from a medical book, not from Gita. Okay, so I just added where exactly Arjuna state was. So Arjuna state, I experienced that many times in my life. Okay. So this is what happened to Arjuna, a complete collapse because his means as the preparing to the battle, preparing the battle, Arjuna was highly energetic, right? If you really look at Mahabharata, you'll see that, okay, I'll do this, I will do that, etc., etc. When he went to the bat, okay, it was a normal stress he need to face. But when he saw the situation, he collapsed. So keep this diagram in the mind because then it will be very, very clear. Okay. So, but the good news is, you and me don't have a counselor even if there is a counselor, it's only a pep talk. Arjuna was so lucky to have Krishna in front of him. Don't think Krishna any other than anything else. He's a person who can guide us. So as Buddha said, like, you have to have a person whom you can talk to you freely, who can see things objectively without judging you, who can help you to lift. So Krishna was there. So Krishna, and he's not an ordinary counselor. Who is he? He is Bhagavan. We talked about this in the first class, right? What is Bhagavad Gita? It came from Bhagavan, universal intelligence, who knows all the rules of the law, means psychological, physical, social law. So he gave the counseling, he gave the advice, and that is what we are studying now. Okay. So this solution provider is Bhagavan. So who is Bhagavan? I'm just recapping. We did this already, right? His knowledge is infinite. His dispassion is infinite because he's not he don't see tomorrow I'll have a promotion if I support this fellow. No, you don't have to worry. He's completely detached. He will give the right answer. A capacity to create, sustain, and resolve. He has enough fame, he has wealth, and he has control over every situation. So the best person giving the advice. So that advice is useful to us. So that is the importance of this verse. Okay. So having said that, now Arjuna is in this state. Bhagavan talked to him these following words. What Krishna can do this time? You have to understand there is a situational problem and there is an emotional problem. How Krishna can teach Arjuna something? First, his emotion has to be a little bit controlled. I was told one example by a great counselor. He said, one lady came to me and started giving a solution at workplace. So this counselor is so efficient. He understood the problem in a minute and he gave the solution. But still this lady is crying. Later point of time, he said, I am realizing now there is an emotional problem and there is a situational problem. Without addressing that emotional problem, the situational problem will not be addressed. So when your child comes back with a problem at school, she knows that there is something unfair has happened and she is crying or he is crying. Typically, as Indian parents, what we try to do, we try to solve the problem and we ignore that emotional part. That's a problem. That emotional problem, you have to hug her and keep her on your lap if it is a child. But in sports, this is very important. These American football games, I don't know how they play. That's a different matter. It's a very, very, very physically intense game. Have you listened to these coaches talk? The one team is almost loose. Imagine in a break they are going to the dress room. What does a coach does?
Pep talk.
Sometimes pep talk, sometimes shouts. Look at the language they are using. My God, why? It's not shouting at them, just to set their mind. So somebody is broken, you need a shock treatment sometimes. Sometimes it might be a hug. So in an army type of intense situation, it will be a little bit harsh talk. So Krishna has to do that little bit of pep talk and little bit of harsh talk to bring Arjuna into the right frame of mind, because so that he is going to listen his talk, a real solution, which is a spiritual solution from verse 11. So verse 2 and 3, he spoke is a pep talk and a little bit of aggressive talk. The goal is to bring Arjuna to the right frame of mind. Okay, so let's see. So where's you're going to see verse 2 and 3.
Shri Bhagavan Utastvatashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anaryajushtabasvargyam Akirtikaramajjuna Naivyam Masmagamarpartha Naitatvayupapadyate Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam Yaktotishta Parantapa.
Brilliant. So he spoke 2 words. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anaryam ajushyam asurgyam akirtikaram Arjuna klaibyam masmagama partha naitatvai upapadyate. I'm breaking the words under here. Chudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktva uttishta parantapaha. The key message is Chudram hridaya daurbalyam. Cast off these weaknesses of heart. And Chudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktva. Reject these weakness and uttishta. Get up. Arise and awake. Don't get down with the situation of life. And before that, he used some words. Some of them are really sugar-coated words. Some of them are a little bit harsh. We'll see. Let's see the English translation.
The Blessed Lord said, O Arjuna, how can you be disheartened at this crucial time? Your impious and shameful mood will bring you down in great disgrace. Yield not to this unmanliness, for it befits you not at all. Arjuna.
Good.
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Okay. So, kutastva kashmala means first thing is when this lowly attitude, kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam. So, Sri Bhagavan Uvaja. So, the first sentence is Sri Bhagavan said. Who is Bhagavan? We saw. And he said, from when this lowly attitude, this weakness come to you, it's affordable in a different situation. You're going to find the best match with the World Cup final. You have to face now, right? At that time, if you get that attitude, this is the best moment of your life. This is where you need to perform. At that time, you cannot afford to have this. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupastidam. In a critical situation, it came. And he tells, Anarya Jushtyam. This is not suited for an Arya. I'm going to explain who is an Arya. Anarya Jushtyam. Aswargyam. This is not going to lead you to heaven. I'm going to explain that also. Akirtikaram Arjuna. It is not going to bring you any fame. This attitude of yours, why did this attitude come to you? From where this weakness arisen, O Arjuna? And this in a critical time. These are the problem. One, it came in a critical time. Two, it is not going to benefit you from any point of view, right? One is this is not suited for you, a person like you, right? I'm the best player in the world, but I won't play on the finals of the World Cup or the most critical match. What is the value? I'm the best performer in my company, but in a crucial time, I cannot do anything. A CEO, when the market is perfectly fine, he's fantastic. But when situation goes a little bit wrong, he mismanages. Chipotle, you know the story, right? How they messed it up. When the Chipotle popped up, you know how the business was growing, like the graph was going like this. Suddenly, one virus, I think, one was reported. It was okay. They could have just admitted and say that it happened in one shop. But the CEO, what he did, he mismanaged it. And even in North Brunswick, I used to see earlier here, you have a huge line. And in between, what happened? Nobody was there. And all these airline companies' crisis, how they handle. Actually, there are a lot of books. So you cannot, as a professional, you cannot afford to be weak and fainted when the situation becomes a little bit tighter. So, and Krishna said, yeah, this is not good. So, kutastva kashmalamitam vishame samupastidam. Anarya jushtyam. This is not suited for an Arya. Now the question is what? His language is very context sensitive. The moment I say Arya, we'll say that this is the Aryans who came from Middle Eastern, from Germany to India and all these nonsense. Here, that is not what we are saying. So, who is an Arya in this particular literature? So, the definition of Arya is given. Actually, it is given in Amarakosha. So, I'm going to give you that same definition. That's why I wanted to bring my own book also. So this is the definition of Arya given. Okay, I'll recollect it. Sorry. Just give me today. Please give me 10 more minutes. I have to be very precise in how much I talk on every line. I took a little bit more extra time in that initial. So Arya, so whenever you see a technical book, when you see a computer science book, Okay, so when you see a computer science book, if you don't know the meaning of that word, where you refer? Which book? If you have a question on a database management system, do you go and refer a different book? You book on geography and interpret it?
No.
Yeah, disconnect. I connected to the mic system. Okay. So the classic stock example I have is you're reading a book on database management system CJD8 and you're studying relational relational database structures. You're studying the codes rules and everything. You came across a word table. You're from India, you don't know, or you haven't studied English. So suppose you go and refer the Wren and Martin English dictionary or a standard English dictionary and refer the word table and put it as a physical table. Is that going to work? What these so-called liberals and critics, what they do with Bhagavad Gita is they take a word, idea, and go to a general dictionary, take a meaning, try to interpret it. It won't work. So if you want to refer any Vedic interpretation, you have to refer a Vedic dictionary. And what is that Vedic dictionary? Niruptam. Niruptam is the Vedic dictionary which gives the meaning of the Vedic words. So be fair in your criticism. That's all. So here the definition, I just quoting this because you will see some people criticizing these words saying that, okay, this is supporting Aryans. This is neither supporting Aryans or nor Dravidians or anything like that. It is totally different. So here the definition of Arya is Kartavyam Acharan Karma, Akartavyam Anacharan, Tishtati Prakritachari, Sa Va Arya Iti Smritaha. I'm just quoting the real definition just to remove the doubts from your mind. So Kartavyam Acharan Karma, Akartavyam Anacharan, Tishtati Prakritachari, Sa Va Arya Iti Smrita. The one who does what is to be done at the right time. The one who do not do what is not to be done. Okay? And he is a refined person. What is the difference between an animal and a man? I may feel like hitting your face, but I won't do it because I'm a cultured person. So behaving culturally, right? So that person is known as Arya. So Krishna is saying what? Your behavior of breaking emotionally down in front of a situation is not Aryan behavior. So people used to prove that this word is indicating that this is a book written by Aryas. There is no connection. This is the definition. Clear? So once again, Kartavyam Acharan Karmaha, Akartavyam Anacharan, Tishtati Prakritachari, Sa Va Arya Iti Smrtaha. So every verse, every contradiction, I'll give you such references so that you know. You don't need to study this, but just for your own understanding. Okay. So now, all these people quote one master in India selectively and say that these are wrong. Gautama Buddha. But they don't study the teachings of Buddha. Buddha used to say that his teachings is Arya Satyani. That is what his definition of means teaching. The whole teaching of Buddha is known as Arya Satyani. And he said that there are 4 truths in the world. And that truth is known as Arya Satyani. And Buddha used to say that my goal is to make Aryas out of you. It has no, the point I'm trying to add here is this has no connection with the so-called Aryan theory. I'm not going to go to the merit and demerits of the Aryan Dravidian conflict, but here the word usage is extremely different. So, and he said this behavior is not suited for a cultured person. Let's remove the word Arya. Then Anarya Jushyam, Asurgyam. Surgyam means what? Heaven. Heaven means what? Pleasant experiences. So this behavior of yourself is not going to lead you to any goodness or pleasant experience in your life later. Aswargya means that which leads to heaven. So this action of yours is not going to lead you to any good experiences. And what about that? Then he say like, the third problem is what? Akirtikaram. It's not going to bring you any fame here. In other words, if you are a typical worldly person, you think that, okay, this is going to bring me some honor. People may think that, okay, I'm a great person, I can run away, etc., etc., etc. So no. So from three standpoints, one is, this is not suited for you. Look at that usage. When Krishna didn't say that he is bad. This is, you have to learn this, extremely important. Whenever somebody has a problem, typically what we say, you are a good for nothing fellow. You are an idiot. You are a, all these, we tend to say that that person is wrong. We have to learn from Krishna. Krishna never uses a word that he is bad. He said that this behavior of yourself is not normal to you. Your child come back with a D grade or a C grade in one exam. What is typical Indian parent does?
Jump out of the chair.
Yeah. You are useless, you are not good, everything. So, Vivekananda used to tell one example. He uttered a bad word one day. His mother, how she taught him was, oh child, this is not your normal behavior. Is this Narendra? Narendra won't do this. So we never blame that person, but that behavior is not suited. That's okay. That's a psychological lesson. This is a big lesson for all the counselors. Means counselors does that, but this is you have to learn from Krishna. So anarya jushyam asurgyam akirtikaram Arjuna. Now he is going to go a little bit harsh. So the pep talk is done. He said, Klaibyam masmagama partha. Remove this kliba avastha. Kliba avastha means remove this unmanliness. Considering the style of Krishna, he cannot go beyond this. It's a harsh word. He said, Klaibyam masmagama partha. Naitattai upapadyate. The same thing. Again, he didn't blame him. He said, this behavior doesn't suit him or benefit him. Right? He said, like, it is not worthy of you. You are a worthy person, but this behavior is a contrary to that nature. And then he said, Chudram Hridaya Daurubanya, just this weakness of heart, remove that. Tyakta Uttishta, get up, face the challenges. Again, this is not a spiritual solution. This is only a pep talk. You will see this from any coach, any counselor in the modern world. But if Krishna had started giving all the spiritual advice at this point of time, Arjuna would not have listened. So, a big lesson for all of us: when somebody is in crisis, when somebody's mom passed away, don't go and say Nainam Chintanti Shastrani. It won't work. You have to acknowledge his pain, hug him, and tell him, yeah, so it's a sad part, but you have to handle this. This is very important. Okay, so let's go to a few more. So this was Arjuna's state. We already saw this. So what exactly is going to put me into this situation? It could be health issues. It could be family relationship problems. It could be problems from the nature, a tsunami. It could be a financial problem. It could be work pressure. It could be social problems. I used to say one sentence in the chapter 1 again and again. What takes me into this state is a variable, but something that takes me there is a fact. Right? As a child, I used to worry about a balloon. That was good enough. Now, what happened? That balloon and that toy was substituted with another toy. That toy could be a $1 million house, or that toy could be a branded car. That toy could be something else. But Something is there always to take me there. So if this is the self-introspection, if I feel weakness, weaken. If I feel sad in front of the situation of the life, understand that we are worth much more. We have great skills and we are blessed with so many things. We can face the situation, whatever is the situation in front of you. So that's why Bhagavad Gita needs to be studied. So this is important. So let's go a couple of more things. So we know that this is depression, extreme misery, illusion, all these are characteristics of the situation. And we will not be able to demonstrate the characteristics of an upright man. Anarya Jushyam, that is the modern translation. You cannot demonstrate the characteristics of an upright person. I have to lead a surgical strike. Last moment I say that I'm afraid. Is that good? I have to go and write I need to change my job. Mergers and acquisition is coming. I'm saying that I cannot study. This situation is not forcing me to change my job. The skill set I have is not good enough. Oh, at this age, I cannot change my profession. If I sit down, that is running away from life. You cannot run away from life. You have to face this life. And this is one of the message of the Bhagavad Gita. You cannot run away from life and call yourself spiritual. You cannot. You have to face it. Right? And you cannot lead to a future state, good future state. Anarya Asurgyam. This is the modern translation of that. And Akirtihara. It will not give you good reputation. So three things he said: Anaryam, Anarya Surgyam, Anarya Ajushyam, Asurgyam, Akirtihara. Then remove these weaknesses. These characters will not help us. It will not help us as an individual. It will not give us peace and happiness. It will not make us efficient in what we are doing. So we have to remove this. Okay. So what is our goal? Earlier it was in hyper stress. So we have to adjust ourselves, retune ourselves so that the stress level will be in that managed situation. This is the modern interpretation of the Gita. Okay. Just read this. I'm going to tell the story. This is a life lesson from Swami Vivekananda. So he was traveling through Varanasi one day. This is exact quote from his complete works. So he had to, as before he became famous, right? All of us know Vivekananda post-American too. But before that, nobody in India was looking at him. Only a few people in Chennai, Alasinga Perumal and a few people had a little bit of passion for him, Raja of Ramnad and Raja of Khatri. Other than that, nobody used to look at him. So he was wandering in India as a wandering monk. And in Varanasi, he was passing through one street. And that street was full of monkeys. And all these monkeys started attacking him. He started running away from the monkeys. Immediately, what all the monkeys did, they chased him. So he said, this is his exact words. It seems impossible to escape. But just then, I met a stranger who called out to me, face the brutes. I turned and faced the monkeys, and they fell back and finally. And then he said, this is a lesson for all life. Face the terrible, face it all. Like the monkeys, the hardship of life, all fall back when we cease to run away from that. If you have ever gained freedom, it must be by conquering the nature, not by subduing nature. I told you one more example from the Mahabharata itself, the conversation between Shalya and Karna and Arjuna and Krishna. So Krishna's lesson to Arjuna was what? I was telling you one story, how the lions hunt. So the lions, a weak lion will come and roar, and all the deers will run away from that lion. All the strong lions will be staying on the other side. Whoever running opposite direction get caught. But those who run towards that weak lion, the probability of them getting this is a big management lesson also now. So if you go to these Toastmaster, they rebrand and use this story, the same story. So because after death, fear of death, the next biggest fear is what? Public speaking. So public speaking, people are so afraid. That's why this whole concept of Toastmaster came up. So it will force you to come and speak. So this is the lesson. If you're afraid of public speaking, go and do it. Not at a critical time. So learn this. This is very important lesson. So we saw 3 verses. The 3 verses, the first verse was what? A description by Sanjaya saying that to that Arjuna, 3 things. Kripaya avishtam, overwhelmed with emotion, full of tears, with stressful eyes. Ashru Purna Akula Ikshanam. Is that right? If you get a compound word, read from right to left. Ashru Purna Akula Ikshanam. Ikshanam, eyes. Akula, stressed. Purna, complete, full. Ashru, tears. That's it. You get the meaning easily. Ashru Purna Akula Ikshanam. Vishidantam, full of sorrow. Idam means, Ashru means 3 things. Kripaya Vishtam, Ashrupurna Akula Ikshanam, Vishidantam. That's what. To that Arjuna, Krishna spoke the following words. And what was the first step Krishna said? From where this weakness comes to you, oh Arjuna, this is not typical Arjuna I know. Arjuna won't be like this. So it could be Rajesh won't be like this. That is the talk you have to do to yourself. Mahesh won't be like this. Mahesh is different. Mahesh is capable of solving that problem, right? Arnab can solve all the issues in front of me, right? That's what I'm that. You have to do the pep talk to yourself. Nobody else is going to be there for you, right? See, nobody else will carry you like you carry yourself, not even your spouse and child. So you have to lift yourself. In 6th chapter, Krishna gives that wonderful advice. Uttaret atmanatmanam na atmanam avasate. Atmaihi atmano bandhuhu atmaihi ripuratmana. First, it's like the flight, they say, right? Before you try to help another child, you have to put yourself. So you lift yourself by yourself. Don't put yourself down by yourself. Most of the people put themselves down. And he tells, if you are your best friend if you try to help yourself. And you are your worst enemy if you do that. This is a wonderful teaching. That is what it tells. And then he tells, so this is not a behavior of a noble person, Arya, right? Akirti, it won't lead you, means it won't give you fame or name, and it won't give you present experience in the future. Giving little bit pep talk, he get little bit harsh. This is not a manly character. This is not, means if it was a woman, this is not suited for a woman. Like women has their own identity. So it's not that he's partializing men, no. Then that is a harsh word. Even in modern language, it is harsh. So that was typically you won't see that type of language from Krishna. But this was just a whip. Then he said, this is not suited for Arjuna. So cast off all your weakness, get up and act. That's it. So Vivekananda liked this verse. And one of his favorite verses was from Katha Upanishad. What was that? Arise, awake, and not stop till the goal is reached. He is so fan of this. And this verse, he commented a lot. He said, this is one of my favorite verse because it is giving you strength. Strength is life and weakness is death, is again Vivekananda. So that's what it is. Is it clear? Any doubt? So good. So we started. Now Arjuna is going to give a few more arguments. That's what we are going to see. Next week, we will see from verse 4 to 9. Again, we can go a little bit faster because Arjuna again giving him his problems. But from verse 11, Krishna starts his spiritual teaching. And interestingly, Shankaracharya starts his commentary from verse 11, 2nd chapter. He didn't show any story part at all. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Please post there.